Hello everyone, welcome back to Sadic's Rabbitry. My name is Sadiq, a young and passionate rabbit farmer here in Ghana. So today, I want us to talk about some must-have things you need on your farm before starting. As a beginner, you need to know that there are certain things you need to have before starting your rabbit farm. You can't just jump in at once. So that's what I want to talk about today. And if you are new to the channel, just don't forget to hit that subscribe button, smash that like button right there so that YouTube will notify you whenever I upload a new video. Most people, especially the beginners, they think that okay, rabbit farming is a situation whereby you have a cage set up, you put the rabbit inside, you just get anything you can get your hands on and feed them with it. That's not the case, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is you having a record keeping book. Now, this record keeping is so important in such a way that it helps you to keep the account for the rabbit you have on the farm, their status, everything you need to know about the rabbit, and also your expenses of the farm. Okay, so record keeping is very essential to rabbit farmers. That's why I always encourage that if you are venturing into rabbit, you need to have a record keeping book before venturing into it, so that whenever you want to sell off your rabbit, you need to know how much you spend on that exact rabbit. Is it medication, feeding, or labor, or any other thing, right? So that you can account for that before selling off the rabbit. And also, record keeping book is really important in such a way that it helps you to know the amount of kits that you've gotten in a period of time and the amount of kits left to be sold out for winners, right? So it really helps when it comes to breeding purposes, and also starters must have it. Now someone might ask, why if he or she is in a very small scale, will it be necessary to have the record keeping book? Then I would say yes, it's really necessary to have it. On the second thing I would always encourage you guys should have on your farm is this. All right, so what is this? This is a first aid kit for the farm. Right, this really helps a lot in storage of your medication, your syringe, anything regardless to rabbits. You can keep it in your first aid box. If you don't have it, you can just have that paper boxes, then you can just store everything in it. But this is what I use. Okay, and in this situation like this, you might think that okay, you have all your medication in it, right? But for those of you who are into the organic medication, then that's fine. You can be storing it in a bottle or container that you can be using gradually. All right, so this is what I keep my syringe and one or few medication in it, and it's really helpful. Now this is what I have in the first aid box, right? So this is it. I have just one multivitamin injectable one. I have this knife here which helps in other things as well. Then I have few syringe too right here. It really helps a lot, right? So now with this multivitamin, I usually use it when I want to breed rabbits, right? I can inject them before breeding, right, which will help them to build or help in the growth of the kids as well. And also if maybe someone at my area wants any help with the medication, I can just use this same multivitamin to help with that person as well. Now these things that I'm talking about, some people will tend to ignore it, and at some point in time they will end up calling vets and spending money on the medication for rabbits. Meanwhile, they should have taken care of the rabbits on the proper way in order to avoid all this spending of money on them. The third thing I want to talk about is feeders and drinkers. Now this is very important, especially with the beginners who are venturing into rabbits, right? So some of them, when they venture into rabbit, they tend to get this plastic bowls around, pick it up and use it as a feeding bowls, which is not appropriate, right? It may end up getting some effect on the rabbit. So I would really encourage you guys should get the feeders and drinkers, right? With this, it comes in various sizes. If you want some for the winners, growers, or even the breeders as well, you can get some at any nearby farmers shop. So this is also the drinkers too. It's quite different from the feeders, right? So with the feeder, it has like a closed mouth like this, but with this it's open. Why? So why is this closed? It's because the farmers want to avoid the rabbits from scratching out the feed as much as possible, because they tend to waste the feed, or they tend to waste too much feed than you think they eat, right? That's why it is made this way, in order for the feed not to be scratched out. And these feeders and drinkers are made in such a way that they are not heavy. Even a kid can just pick it up easily, right? It is not heavy, it's easily made, and I will show you guys a tutorial on how it is done in the very few days coming, and I hope you would enjoy watching that video as well. Now, some people might not go in for the ceramic feeders and drinkers, right? They would prefer the J feeders. If you would prefer the J feeders, then that's fine, that's your choice, and you can go in for it. It's never any problem with that, right? So if you would go in for the J feeders too, it will be attached to the cage. You will just have to put in the feed, and that's all. It will roll over inside the cage, then the rabbit will have it to eat. Now, I know some people might want to go in for other alternatives when it comes to the feeders and drinkers, right? So, which brings me to the next item, which is the pipes and nipples, right? So let me just open it up and show it to you guys. So these are the pipes, right? These are the pipes, 1.5 millimeter, or yeah, I'm not sure, but I think it's 1.5 millimeter. And this is connected to each cage, right? Which makes it in a way that this mouth will be connected to a bucket of water on top of the cage, so that whenever the water is being poured in the bucket, it will just flow through its cage, right? So these are the pipes, and these are the nipples too. I want to show you guys right away. So I think these are the springs used to attach with the nipple and just lock it with the cage, right? And these are the nipples, right? So this is the nipple, and how they used to drink water from this is that it has a soft spring inside the hole right here, okay? So whenever the rabbit use its teeth to just pull this spring backwards like this, then the water will just flow out for the rabbit to be able to drink. And this are the pipe we use to connect with the pipes itself to the nipple, okay? So it just like this, and the spring will go this way like this. So the spring will be that way to the cage, right? Which makes it stable and convenient to use. It's easy, and rabbits really love it, right? For these pipes, one thing I like about it is that whenever the water gets finished, you just have to fill the bucket, not opening each cage and feeding them with the water again, like the way you use the drinkers, right? You know, the drinkers, you need to open up each cage every morning, open up each cage, wash in the bowl, and put in new water, right? But with this, you can do it in such a way that you can be cleaning up the pipe every week or every 2 weeks, whichever way you would want it. You can just be cleaning it, and it's fine to use. In order to make it easier for you, then you can be using the ceramic bowls with the pipes, okay, which is very easy. And also, if you want, you can be using the nipples and the J feeders, which is very easy, in order for the rabbit to have more space in the cage. Whenever the nesting box gets inside the cage, still there will be more space for the rabbit to roam around. The fifth thing I want to talk about is your weighing scale, right? So if you look at this one, this is the manual one, and I have the electric one too. So weighing scale is really important. As a rabbit farmer, you need to get one, either the electric one or the manual one, right? So with this weighing scale, it helps you to analyze the weight gain of your rabbit. Or if you are trying on a new feed, then you need to have your weighing scale. You check the weight before feeding them your new formula, and if you want to know the feed is really working well, then you will have to give them some time. You use the feed for some time, and then check their weight again to see how good the formula is working for them. So as you can see, this is a very mini weighing scale. It's a 10 kg weighing scale, up to 10 kg, and it's really helpful, right? So with this, you can be weighing both meat rabbit and live rabbit, okay? But specifically, I want to be using it for live rabbit. And with these ones, if you want to be selling rabbits, then you can be using this to weigh the meat, which is very easy. Put it on top, you see the weight, and just give it a price. That's all. The sixth item I want to talk about is having a hay rack. Okay, so I don't have it, but I'll show you a video of it in a bit. Okay, so the hay rack is in such a way that it's in different forms attached to the cage in order to supply hay for the rabbits. Okay, some will be attached to the gate, some will be used for the division of the cage, and also some will be used on top of the cage. Just any way you find convenient, you think that the hay will be able to reach the rabbits, then that's okay. You can use it as your hay rack, and it's really helpful. You know that hay is part of the rabbit's diet, right? So whenever they have they have hay in their diet, then that's all, they are good to go. So having a hay rack is really important. So for me, I don't have it on all of my cages because some of the measurements are not the same, especially with the male cages. The male cages are different from the female cages, so with the male cages I don't have the hay racks, but mostly on the female cages, then I have the hay racks, which I use to supply some of this hay for the rabbits. Now the seventh thing I want to talk about is where most beginners get it wrong, which is good caging system. Okay, if you want your rabbit to be healthier, it all depends on the environment, the caging system, and how you feed it, right? So if your caging system is not as good as any other farmers else's, then it's not going to be good for you, right? So when I talk about good caging system, I mean the structure of the cage itself. I don't mean you should have a cage like at one side you keep your rabbits, no, but I want to talk about the structure of the cage itself. You know, mostly people use different wire mesh for different purposes, right? So they intend to use the half by half wire mesh for the flooring of rabbit's cage, which is not convenient. I would say it's not convenient to use that half by half for the flooring. Why? Because it gets easily to be torn out, right? But with the half by one, it's really strong enough to accumulate the weight of the rabbits. Even if they are growing, then still the wire mesh will be in touch and not getting any effects, right? And also with the body of the cages, if you are into wooden cages, right? If you are into wooden cages, I won't suggest you use the chicken wire mesh to make the cages. It's not convenient because with that wire mesh, it's easily to cut, right? So I would suggest you should get this 1x1 wire mesh for the body of your cage and half by one for the flooring of your cage. It's really good, and it can last longer than the half by half, right? And I've seen some people too using this, I think 2x2 wire mesh for the flooring and putting the 1x1 half by half on top of it. It's not right. Why am I saying this? Because whenever the rabbits poo, you know, normally they usually poo at the corners of the cages, right? So whenever they poo on that side, then the poo gets stuck in the wire mesh, which will form up to something else you wouldn't like to see, right? So I would always suggest you should be using the half by one. It is really good. Now one thing I like about the one by half is their poo is easily to pass in. Alright, whenever they poo, it gets easily to pass through the wire mesh. But with the half by half, it's difficult for it to pass through, right? Which makes them step on their own poo and messing up their body and all that stuff. So you should really consider the structure of your cage before venturing into the rabbit aspect. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is having a good environment. Now, with having a good environment, I mean you should have a well ventilated area, which you won't come in the morning and be having some smell blowing off your nose and all that stuff, right? So you should have a well ventilated area where all those gases just get out of the area every time, right? Just fresh air always. But if you have an area like enclosed area which makes the gas stacks at that area, then it is not convenient, right? It can affect the rabbits negatively. What I want you to do now is to comment down below if you know some things you think a newbie should have on the farm before starting. You should just let us know in the comment section. We will be grateful to have your comments. And also, if you want to have a tutorial video on how to make the ceramic bowls, drinkers and feeders, just let me know in the comment section. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and I hope you have a great day. Don't forget, if you are new to the channel, just make sure to subscribe to your boy Sadik's Rabbitry. Until next time, peace out.